Might as well go around and introduce ourselves. My name's John Boutte. I chair the Southwest Common Council Education Committee. And Pat?
I'm Pat Conner from the Rochester Public Library.
I'm Mike Dondorfer from Monroe County 4-H.
Chantal Lisher, Community School Site Coordinator over at Wilson Foundation.
Good.
Joe Baldino, Principal School 29.
Eleanor Coleman, Catholic Family Center's Youth Build Program in Rotary Southwest.
Very good. Well, I spoke to Alicia this morning, and she was going to come, but we'll get back to her when she was going to do the item number 2 on the agenda there.
Oh, Alicia?
Yeah. Budget overrun update. I guess they're still trying to. Hey, John.
Hey.
Gee, we missed you at the meeting today, John.
Somebody's delivering food
Ah.
and doing bikes. What time was the meeting?
3:30. Yeah, it went well. Who do we have there?
How's your foot?
Oh, it's good. That was
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
that came around that
Good
spring.
to see you.
I'm doing okay now, so yeah, I've been hiking since then. So,
Okay.
yeah. Going up there in May this year again. So I'm in Minnesota now, so I'm gonna start hiking there in May. It should be alright.
Should be.
It's kind of farther north. It takes daylight longer there, so I think I can hike longer. I'm excited about
The
home.
bugs are good.
May's not too bad. Summer's great.
Yeah.
Terrible summer.
Okay, on the budget, I was hoping we'd get into that a bit today. We had a meeting with Terry Dade at we met over at NISET there, over on Union Street, but he came in to talk to us about, the various issues, particularly the Rochester Coalition for Public Education has been looking at trying to get some 2 advisors to get appointed by the Albany to come and kind of supervise what's going on in the district to try to get the board to work together a bit better and also get a financial advisor to work with both the board and the administration, so we don't have a problem like we did this last time repeat itself. And but we talked a lot about, which is more like item 4 on there. There was an article in the what was this in? Anyways, the Cuomo has, in his budget presentation, talked about appointing a monitor for the Rochester City School District. He was primarily talking about getting somebody for a financial advisor, but we've also been looking at trying to get an educational advisor that would work with the various departments and with the board to make sure we got the right programs going. And that had been started by Bronson, I guess, had been pushing that, and we had gotten together with Bronson. The coalition had gotten together with Harry Bronson twice now, and we're supposed to get together with him again later this week. Hey, how you doing?
Can we get some more chairs or doors?
There's
And Jamie seating are here.
Yeah,
too.
there's a chair there, there's one over there, a couple here, a couple there. No, you've got some at the tables there. Hey, you made it!
Yes.
Great!
Hello.
I'll move over here to give you guys some more room.
You want to start? Fine. Is somebody sitting here?
No.
Oh,
You can have this
You
chair
are.
right here too. I'll move over. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. No problem.
well, we might as well go through the introductions again since
Sorry
we.
about that.
Don't worry about it.
Do you remember everybody? Well. If the new people that came in can introduce themselves, that would be good. Let's see. What? Trying to. Janie Anderson, yes. And
Mary Coffee.
Mary Coffee. And,
Dorothy Conrad.
okay. And you three are with
With the Cowboys.
with
I'm a
We
neighborhood.
ride our horses
and-
high. And our horses' names are Conscience.
Pardon me?
They're from the east side.
Right. And I'm Northwick Village.
Emma, and you're Emma also, yeah, okay, good. Nice to see you again. I was hoping that we'd have one or two people who were at the meeting with the superintendent joining us today, but I guess I'm going to have to recall everything. Basically, we met with Terry Dade to go over the plans that the coalition, the Rochester Coalition for Public Education, had been proposing, and I think you've probably seen it get sent out along with some of the notes. And he was pretty receptive to it. It's always hard to say how is it going to work in terms of smoothing things over with the board so that there's less bickering. You know, they've been pretty frequently saying things that shouldn't really be publicized in the newspaper while they're deliberating on things, but I think that was well received, and then we got into the really good things that, you know, we've had people who have been advocating for early childhood literacy, and he's all in on that. He very much, you know, one of the first things he did when he looked at how things are going in the district here is see a lot of dysfunctionality in terms of having all the schools using a similar program. Recently the changes, Common Core introduced a lot of, or tried to introduce a very standardized program for literacy, and it wasn't really doing a very good job of encouraging kids to really want to read. It was, you know, very top down. Hello, how you doing? So anyways, the meeting went well. I think, you know, one of the things that we had gotten involved with the coalition for was to try to get the busing situation improved, because we see the busing kids all over town when there's no reason for it other than they want to be able to get on a bus and you have to go 1.5 miles to get a ride. So they pick a school 1.5 miles away, and he has been against a lot of that from the time he came here. He was saying we need to, you know, have more neighborhood school type environment. So it sounds like he didn't get into any particulars other than he's been working on it, so I don't know if he's got, he seems to think that they're making some headway with the folks in Albany, but that's definitely one of the things that...
On the busing?
Yeah, on the busing. I don't know if that's going to be something that gets worked out with the city helping out. But we're supposed to get together with Harry Bronson again. It's at the end of this Friday, I think, right? And so we'll have to push again. The last time we met with Harry Bronson, he was afraid that really pushing for the busing was going to be something that would make getting the special advisors for the district a tougher thing to sell, but
Is it a matter of economics now? These bus companies are making a lot of money, and
yeah,
it
well,
would be detrimental to their, is
Yeah.
that what you think is holding it up?
supposedly it would cost us less once it gets adopted to
Oh, I
about
know what it costs.
25%. But
Us less, yeah.
it,
Jobs and the yellow bus and RTS.
yeah, we've been primarily concentrating on the yellow buses, which, go door to door and slow traffic down all over the place. And that is the one that the 1.5 mile requirement applies to, that they won't reimburse for rides that are shorter than 1.5 miles.
Is there an age on that 1.5 mile? I mean, that's a distance for little legs.
It's, you look at,
You mean a lower age limit?
Yeah, little people, yeah,
No.
no,
Except
that's
can't-
across the board.
it's a-
I don't think,
But the
pre-K,
K-1s,
same.
the parents can apply. They can apply to the district for door-to-door transportation.
And that's kindergarten and first grade.
Correct. It's not guaranteed, but
Yeah,
generally,
second grade
if the
they'll
parent
still-
the
applies.
thing that they're doing right now is basically using, when they get a, boy, that one's good music. Right now, when the school determines where all the kids are coming from, when the district, Mike Schmidt and the folks that do the routing figure out where everybody's coming from to go to, say, Wilson Foundation or School 29 or whatever, and they'll figure out how many buses they need to get those kids that are 1.5 miles or further away to the school, and then they go and backfill so that kindergartners, if there's 10 seats on the bus left, they'll put the kindergartners on, and then first graders and second graders until the bus is full. So, but the trouble is, you can never guarantee to parents that you'll have a ride. It's a matter of backfilling. So I don't know what percentage they cover doing that, but it's been something we really need to have, a more certain situation to be able to tell parents.
So you're looking for community schools?
For community schools or even neighborhood schools,
Well, which is to say, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking a neighborhood is a community, neighborhood schools. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd like to have that, we ended up getting managed school choice here back in 2002, which was intended to give equity so that all parents had a chance of having their child go to the best school by applying and being put into a lottery. But you've got 200 seats at this good school and 200 seats at this good school, perhaps, or maybe 100 that are available. So by and large, only a small percentage of parents got their kids in the
Well,
in
we
the
have
best
to make
schools.
all our schools.
Yeah.
good schools.
And that was supposed to be what was going to happen, you know, when they put that in, was that the schools that didn't get picked would have more resources put into them, so they would become model schools also, you know. But then that they never followed through on that. So anyways, the desire now would be to try to get universal busing, or you know, any kid who, if they can't get the ideal school they're going to, then take a bus to the local school, and that makes it easier for parents to get involved and for teachers to get a, you know, do a home visit if they need to because of a problem or other. So Terry's very interested in seeing that be pursued, but we shall see. So by and large, I think that meeting we had today was very encouraging. We have Alicia. There she is. And you were going to talk a bit about the Association for Teenage Diplomats.
So good evening, everyone. I wear different hats within our community. So I am on the board of the Association for Teenage Diplomats.
Is it a national program or?
It's a local program. It's a Monroe County program, Rochester area program.
And who funds it, the county?
No, it's a nonprofit, and the fees that students pay, as well as some monies that have been granted to the Rochester Area Community Foundation, help support the program. So we are,
Private funded.
it's private, those are private funds, correct, correct. So right now, our deadline for student applications was December 31st, but we still have opportunities for students to apply. So as you see on the brochure, these are the countries to which students can apply. Except right now, we aren't sending any students to Bamako because there's been some difficulty, some challenges in Bamako, where civil unrest that we haven't sent anyone to Bamako in a while. But as you can see, the organization was founded in 1951. So we are very long-standing organizations and have sent hundreds of students from the Rochester area to other countries, and we've even hosted even more students from the countries listed within Monroe County. And even some have even gone as far as Wayne County. So,
How long does these exchanges, or how long is a child assigned to a country?
we have students from we have outbound students who go anywhere from a summer or 6 months or a school year, depending on the country they choose and the term that they choose. So some students just want to go for a summer. Some students decide they want to go to somewhere such as Arequipa in Peru, where their school year starts in January. So it just depends on what country the student chooses as far as how long they will stay. Some of the countries don't accept students for a summer, they only accept for school year. So it just depends on which country that the student chooses.
Mm-hmm.
And I have, so not only, so here's what our flyer looks like, if anyone wants to pass that around. You may have one of these flyers.
Thank you.
So those are for students from any part of our county. These flyers here are targeting Rochester City School District students. But do please note that there's a slight typo on this flyer and it should say ated.org. So if you take this flyer, please change and make the .com and make sure you change it to .org.
Okay.
And the student that is here in this photo is a student from Rochester who went to Spain approximately 4 years ago. And he had a lovely time.
Now, how does this differ from exchange students that I know we hosted a girl from France a few years back.
It is an exchange student program, so we, in addition to students from our area going to these countries, students from these countries come to the Rochester area and are hosted. So this is our application. So if you know of a student that you would like to share this application with, feel free to let me know, and I have a limited copy because it's an extensive application. But I will give one to our chair.
How many
Okay.
of our city school children participate? I know it's
Very
probably
few.
one.
Very few. Well, over the years, unfortunately, fewer and fewer students overall have participated. So, unfortunately, the deadline for the Gary Simon Memorial Scholarship, which this advertises, unfortunately, the deadline for that was December 31st, so that deadline has passed. But we are still accepting applications for students who are willing to raise the fee for the program.
Now, the wording of teenage diplomats, is there an emphasis on students that are looking at cultural issues, or is that just
It's the name.
exchange students?
So it's not targeting any student with any particular career goal. But a lot of times students with certain career goals do look at the country
Sure.
to which they're interested in going to see if that country, now to go to, because this program in France, you'd be going to school during the school year, so they do require French. So it just depends, and there are opportunities when students have chosen countries where language is required. We've done our best to help find them tutoring or find someone who would be willing to help the student learn the language before they go. Particularly if that language is not taught in the school district. So Italian, I don't believe Italian is taught in the city school district any longer, or if it is, it's not taught at all schools. At one time, Italian was a very popular foreign language. So not only do we look for a student to go to these countries, we accept students from those countries here. So, in the Rochester area, but they do not stay in hotels. They stay with host families. So, I have conveniently brought with me our host family interest form. So, and I will say that it's less common for students to be hosted in the city than in the suburb. So it is my desire
That's a
and
whole,
to
that's a
encourage
single one.
residents in the city to host students. And we have had host families within the city, different sides of the city. And I want to, and it gives that student a different perspective. Gives them an urban perspective. So if anyone is interested, might think you'd be interested, or you want to share that with someone that you know, please do so. This is our host family interest form. And you're more than welcome to contact me with any questions. I've been on the board of ATAD for a while. I was an ATAD student when I was in high school.
Where
And
did you go?
I went to Mexico. At that time, Association for Teenage Diplomats was dovetailed with a national program called Youth for Understanding. And Youth for Understanding went to Mexico. So my desire was to learn the language, but not go too far where I couldn't get home quickly. In my mind, and the fee for Mexico was cheaper than the fee to go to Spain, so I chose Mexico.
It takes a lot of courage to go, and it's wonderful that you're giving back.
It is an awesome opportunity.
It's wonderful.
The students, the Gary Simon Memorial Scholarship students, the majority of them, I want to say from my recollection in the last 10 years, although we haven't had a student every 10 years, but they've gone to college. It enriches their college applications. One of our students is even working in the State Department.
Wow.
So, and he's from the city. He grew up on Quincy Street. So I really, really want to encourage, please, if you know of any students, get them to start the application now for next year even, because it's an extensive application. There are a lot of essays, a lot of pages, so that even if they don't apply this year, it'll be ready for next year. Any questions? Yes.
So one idea for somebody you might want on your board, I gotta remember his name. He played basketball at Syracuse. He's from Kenwood.
He's
spent
from where
time-
now?
From Kenwood, over near Buffalo.
Okay. We don't go
Huh?
that far.
And more.
Kenmore?
Oh, Kenmore,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
But he played in Italy. And so he really enjoyed being in Italy. And the only reason I've met him a couple times because he was on the board of American Art, my wife. And he came into our community bikes one day to get a bigger bike frame.
Oh, wow. He lives in Kenmore though?
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't host students
Well, yeah, but
that
you can
far?
take him as a
But-
board member if you.
Yeah, I would love to get his contact information.
Yeah, I gotta remember his names. Anybody remember? Played at Syracuse for 3-4 years. Good basketball player, right? Big.
And as you see, many of our countries where we host students from or send students to our sister cities within the sister cities of Rochester, international sister cities of Rochester. So we have a very good relationship with ISCOR, International Sister Cities of Rochester.
Okay. How many each year do you generally have, or?
From Rochester, semester,
Yeah.
generally, we have anywhere from 2 to 4 students. Not from the city, I mean the greater Rochester area. Anywhere from 2 to 4 students apply each year. But there were, in years past, we had upwards of 15 or 20 students. I think maximum, they've told me, was 20 students. Now, when I went, we had, from my high school, we had 3 students when I went. So it was just, the times are different, student interests are different, but there's nothing like a global experience. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Great, thank you very much.
You did and do.
Yeah, those are really good programs. I remember when we hosted a young lady from France, you know, you look, even though I speak French because I was born in Belgium, but she came here, she wanted to speak English because she wanted to learn her English, so I didn't get a chance to speak French with her much. But it's interesting seeing the little nuances that exist between different groups, and that has an impact in the way we try to improve communications between the different ethnic groups that we have in Rochester. One thing that really struck me when we had Christine here is, you've got this young lady that you're hosting, so she comes down to join you in the living room, and everybody would, kind of be quiet and welcome her into the conversation, but she began to think that we were talking about her because when she came into the room, we'd stop talking. And when you think back on it, in the Anglo-Saxon setting, we tend to be quiet and let the person join the conversation. And now that I think back on it, my own family back home, everybody jumps into the conversation, and there isn't this taboo about interrupting people. So just this slight difference in the way people interact, and she was ready to jump ship and go somewhere else because there was just that little nuance of how people make room for somebody to join a conversation. It's
Roosevelt Bowie.
I'll write that name down.
So CET
I'm really a
videos.
basketball player.
CET, yes, we have, there are videos that you can look at if you'd like from the various community engagement teams, at least the ones other than from Wilson Foundation Academy. We had some camera shy people there, but there's a...
We do. I didn't know, like a 50% vote.
But School 19 has got at least 6, there are at least 6 videos from 19, and we will have 3 from School 10 as soon as I finish processing the last one, and we've got 1 at least, and we'll have 2 from School 16. Our hope was to make sure that we record what's going on in those meetings, so there's some cross-pollination between the schools, also to make people in the community aware of what's going on in the schools to go through this transformation. One of the things that worried us a little bit initially was, after seeing everything that it took to get School 17 back up into a community school format, because we've been looking at it since we started fighting for the schools here, and all the receivership schools were talking about becoming community schools, like, oh, this will be something we can check off easily. And it looks like they've got a solid program for getting the community schools working, but there's still a lot of work to be done. And we have a community school coordinator right there from Wilson
On the job
Found.
pool, the community school piece is only one of those indicators that the community team works towards. So I think that's a little bit of a clarification, that I'm not sure our school was the only one that needed it, just based on some of the conversations. So at this point, for WFA, we are working on trying to get more stakeholders brought to the tables to join our CET. So I'm gonna give John, well, John, you have our dates, because I emailed them. Generally, unless it falls on a break, it's like the third Tuesday of every month, right after school over at 2:15 over at Wilson. We are looking at making 1 month after school, the next month in the evening, and swapping back and forth. So,
What do you plan on doing?
what do we plan?
Yeah.
So, well, we have multitudes of steps till we get to the point. So we can't really make a plan until we go to the the students, the parents, and the staff, and do what's called a needs assessment. Based on the needs assessment of that, then you recruit the programs, agencies, and so forth into the building.
Gotcha.
So if we find that, food is an issue, then we will implement the food pantry that a lot of the community schools have. We already do this, so it's just a matter of renaming it, but we have like the winter coat and everything closet, but we could expand on that if that's a thing that to
What about
address.
social workers?
We already got the social workers, but they bring in more programs and so
All right.
forth.
And-
Also, if we send out things that teachers want, or parents want more professional development for themselves.
Oh.
Like, we don't understand the planning that working with their own kids at home. It's, this Common Core is foreign language to many of the parents, but that's just one example.
Yeah.
So we really can't press forward with specifics until we identify the needs of those involved.
Now, you're telling me that Wilson is in receivership?
The foundation is. Wilson Foundation.
Process going forward was to look at assets,
That's the asset mapping.
not needs.
So you have to do both.
Yeah.
So the asset mapping is really, that's not necessarily done through surveys and stuff. That's literally, you are just identifying all the potential resources that are at your disposal or that are available to communicate and reach out to. Then you have to still match your assets with what your stakeholders are in need of. Because that can change from depending on the school and the community at large.
Okay.
Did I lose?
No,
Okay.
that's fine. I mean, I know the difference between the two, but it was interesting in that talk, and the emphasis was all on look at what you got.
Right.
How do you leverage that? How do you use that? Not what don't you?
Well, you gotta change what you don't have to, it's-
Once you identify it though, I mean, there's only so much feasibility of how much,
Right.
there's so many assets that our community as a whole, county-wise, city-wise, neighborhood-wise, drilling down that we have. But then to pick and choose from your assets where you want to devote your time and where your first steps are of what you want to bring into the school, I think would be driven by the needs assessment.
Yeah, I think it would be too. But I was just curious about the change in emphasis. So it's
Depends on who's
Who's
speaking and their prerogative of
who want to
what it is.
pretend they.
I mean, it was made very clear to us that that's the steps that we do.
Okay, is there something where you divide up the assets by geography?
Yeah, I mean, you literally have to look at a map to do it.
Okay, so Joe will look at his and 16 will look at theirs, and there should be a fair amount of overlap.
Correct.
And the process for,
And there's many agencies that are part of the asset map and so forth that have district-wide reach. The district already has arrangements of. It's just a matter of getting them into the schools.
okay,
I don't know if you have anything to add. So,
No, it's, there's a lot of agencies out there, you know, it's a matter of, well, you can't, one size doesn't fit all sometimes.
Right.
You're better off making sure, I think where you can get more assistance is look at the school, our school, and what do we have as our needs, and then someone can kind of help guide you through the process of meeting those needs versus a prepackaged, one size fits all is not usually the most beneficial. There's a lot of high needs students at School 29, so schools with multiple disabilities. So our programs, our needs are different than Wilson Foundation.
right.
Good luck, you got a job ahead of
It's
you.
Yeah.
coming along.
Yeah,
Coming
You
along.
sound like you're ready for the challenge.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, plus the fact that you're a citywide draw school,
Yes, we are.
so that means you can't
That, and
just say
that also
that.
changes things.
Yeah.
And, you know, the local piece is affected a little bit by that.
Mhm.
Immediate local to the school.
Yeah, one of the things that School 17, which a lot of this is modeled on, they had medical center and they had a dentistry center there that Ralph Spezio had set up way back when. And somehow we've got to, you know, if there's a need for those things at some of these other schools, we're going to have to figure out how to go about meeting those needs. But
Well, UR Medicine has the Smile or truck, whatever.
The Smile Bus, yep.
you know,
Has that been to your school?
It has not, but it was actually brought up yesterday at our CET meeting as an option.
But has anybody seen it?
Yes, we had it
Yep.
at 29 for a period of time. I saw it at another school, I forgot when I was driving by one, that it was outside the school, yeah. It's pretty beneficial, sometimes children, their teeth are really bothering them.
They really,
You know, if actually your mood, I mean, if you got toothaches and all those little things can be factors in a child not being able to learn. So.
Well, every school used to have a nurse.
they
We
still
do have
do.
nurses.
They still do.
Yeah.
They're overwhelmed.
We all don't have dental clinics, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
That's
So you've
good.
had the Smile.
Yeah, so it was really beneficial.
That's good.
They
The
stay-
district also has the eyeglass clinic out of East, which is phenomenal. So, I mean, eyeglasses are easily and readily available for our kids.
They bring them to East.
Pretty much.
Oh. And then, do they have courses at East to help make them?
From what I believe, it's some kind of program for the kids. I don't know to what degree they're involved, but I know it's student are learning along with.
Yeah, some of that stuff used to be taught at vocational
So-
schools, which we need
Yep.
more of too.
Yep, that's a whole nother,
Yeah,
yep.
definitely.
Okay, well, on the, you know, if you look at the things that we have, and in the, it'll be in the notes, in the, all the A10 or 10A, 10B, and all the ones that show that there are links there, if you click on those, it'll bring you to those, the videos that we shot at various meetings. Some of the schools, like 19, have had a lot of subcommittee meetings where I was involved primarily with the community involvement portion, but so we did a lot of talking about how we might get the community involved in the school, and in fact, the Southwest Common Council is hoping to do some work trying to recruit volunteers for the school, and at the same time try to recruit volunteers for the neighborhood associations, which are always underpopulated. They're always looking for volunteers there. So hopefully we can, you know, work, try to get the various groups together, teachers reaching out to the community, neighborhood associations helping out at getting volunteers for the schools, and having the schools, such as yourself, referring people that may, you know, if they live in the Maplewood neighborhood, maybe you need to have contacts for who are the associations there and try to get them involved with their neighborhood association, because all of these neighborhoods really need parental involvement. And it, you know, the good thing about having like School 16 or which is, you know, in one area, or School 19, is that you've just got one or two neighborhoods to coordinate with. But for a citywide draw school, maybe that means getting in touch with the various neighborhoods that your students come from and helping feed, you know, reference back to those neighborhood associations to increase involvement. Because that's the thing, that a lot of the things that, you know, one of the big drawbacks to having kids bust all over creation right now is it used to be that you make friends in school, you go home and you play with the friends that you made in school because they live down the street from you, and the parents get to know one another because Johnny's always at Peter's house, etc. And it builds community, whereas right now people are getting bussed all over creation, and we've lost some of that. So, anyway.
Should we get Joe's report?
Yes,
He's
oh
gotta
yeah,
go.
Joe.
So we, you know, we had to make some adjustments with our, you know, we have 15 or had 15 teachers for students without disabilities, but general education. We have a lot of special education students. We had one teacher on assignment working our ELT program and 3 intervention prevention teachers. Then they made the cuts, and they cut 5 teachers out of the 15 that we had in our school from classroom positions. And, you know, we've had to make some other adjustments. We've had to, you know, move some classroom teachers in. They combined strands together, so we only have one grade now at one class at every grade level. We had 2 first, 2 second, 2 third. Now we have 1 at every grade level.
What are the sizes, and what were the sizes?
But they were pretty small. We had some of our classes were 12 kids. You know, second grade, first grade was 15. You know, they were small classes. The challenge is doing it during the school year, of course, after the school year is half over. But it's been an adjustment process for teachers and students. But we're making it work, you know, because we have to, you know, and then the staff and adults know, you know, as much as we were impacted and people's jobs were suddenly changed the last minute, they have a job, but the children are coming to school anyways, and they're going to be there, and we have to do the best for them, and that's been our mindset. So we're doing pretty well overall, and our thing we're working on now is that we're trying to recruit more kindergarten kids. The expo was relatively successful. I met one child's parent enrolled them in 29 there, and 4 other names I received. There was somebody from ABC was there. She works in a pre-K program, so that's a possible another contact that we can make. We're not going to give up on the idea of maybe 2 kindergartens next year. Why not? You know, we have to probably get 35 children to justify 2 positions. So that's something it's in that process right now that we're working on. So we are still slated for the facilities modernization now on the 2021 school year. Maybe Mr. Bronson can help move that one along, because that died last year. But I was told by our people, Mike Schmidt, he's come to a couple of these meetings, that we are still slated for the 2021-2022 school year to have the school remodeled, which is a good sign. And so that's where we sit now, and we're making it work, you know, obviously the best we can, because the children are there, and we have to do the best for them.
So have you lost children because of the charter schools?
That's a big area in the South Zone. I mean, I don't know what he's going to announce tomorrow, but Superintendent Day is going to announce school closings. Folks, it's a fact. Yeah, so the footprint of the district, that's what it's on the agenda for the board meeting tomorrow night. So I don't know what they are, but the footprint has to shrink. There's just, you know, we don't have enough student population.
So,
a good part of that, yes, we've lost in the South Zone to charter.
Did you need all the teachers? And when they schools and they had a charter school and they left, did they maintain the same amount of teachers in the city school district as before?
There also was
Or would you?
there was a significant number of reading teachers hired, and
Well, that's important.
It is, but they were, when they were hired, my understanding is that there wasn't, I don't think there was enough forethought to say, are we gonna be able to sustain this? That's why.
And we need all these teachers.
Right. Well, we want them, we love to have them, but can we afford it? That was the right expression.
And do we have a number of children to sustain?
Correct.
That's
So that's kind of what happened in when Superintendent Dave came in, he did an assessment, he was able to see that, you know, this is not sustainable even for this school year to meet payroll and things like that, even though the budget is massive. So that's where these cuts needed to get done. There were things that could have gotten done through concessions, some concessions were given, some concessions weren't. So that's why there was a need to lay off, I think it was 99 teachers by the time.
And you felt too, or I don't know about you, that administration in the system, it was overcrowded too, jobs.
I mean, the administration, I'm not sure.
Administrative jobs.
I don't know what the assessment is of down the central office.
I mean, I've heard that on
Well,
the TV, you know.
I think the superintendent is looking at everything right now. I think he started. I've heard him say it. I mean, I'm not speaking for him.
Yeah.
I've gone to almost all those meetings, and he's looking at everything. He's looking at.
I feel sorry for the poor guy. What a thing to walk
I know.
into.
And-
There were quite a few cuts downtown.
There were some. I think he's still looking at it. He was doing that anyways. He's looking at the reorganization of
Yeah.
central office. I know he said that publicly.
Seems like a nice guy.
I think he's really sharp. I think
Yeah.
I've been around a long time. I'm
Good,
very impressed with
good.
him.
And now, also, what we're hearing in this media is that the governor very possibly might give money to help this. And with it, and which I'm glad of, they will have them say oversight of the board, oversight on the finances, and oversight on the quality of education. It means another eye on it, the situation. How do you feel about that?
I think that I feel strongly that with some of the steps that Superintendent Date's already taken to sort of right-size the district, to correct this temporary issue, we haven't gotten to the bottom yet. I think it's going to be the bottom's going to be in June. There's probably going to be some more cuts. Now people have decided to take jobs elsewhere. Our other districts swooped right in, Buffalo, Syracuse, Fairport. Some of our best people are already working in suburban districts and other urban districts. So they came in, they hired them. So by June, I think the numbers of teachers that are looking for positions are going to be lower. But there's going to be another round of right sizing in June. I think once we hit June, I feel very confident what Superintendent Date is doing. It's going to, we'll begin the road back, so to speak.
Hopefully, but extra eyes certainly would help.
Well, I know everyone.
We got there because.
Right,
because.
but I think personally, my strong opinion is let's give Superintendent Date a chance before we start supervising and watching him. I think
Well, that's what the governor, they're saying they
Well, I
will
know.
give the money on
Yeah.
conditions.
Well, though I think
And I think they would
Yeah.
work well with him.
yes, I think so too. But I also believe that part of this, the cuts that had to get done. I mean, I think people still believe that there's going to be this because it's happened before. Those big things going to happen. Well, we're just going to swoop in and it's all, we're going to fix this at the last second with some more money. But I think this is one of those times where, the crying wolf thing, it was real. It is real. And It's not like there was no quick fixes. We could have 30, 40, 50 people speak at a board meeting. The board, you heard what they said at the meeting. They all said, we have to do this. Our hands are tied. It's awful. But we have to do it, and that's what happened at that board meeting when they voted. And I'm not surprised because, as bad as it is, we're talking about people, and I get all that. It was necessary
Right.
at this time.
And bottom line, and it should be the main thing, the children.
Correct.
And they, in their test scores and everything, have shown the proof of something's wrong. And how did you get there? How did we get there? And maybe if we have the state in helping and more expertise in that, we can start climbing up. With this new superintendent, who I think seems to be a nice guy.
Yeah, I think he's very
Yeah, he's very sharp.
I think he's the guy that's going to survive too, but he's pretty tough. So, I mean, I don't think he's
And I don't think
a
he's
guy that's gonna come
involved
in and come out.
politics.
I think he's gonna be around for a while. He's a genuine person.
Yeah,
I've gotten to talk to him a few times, and I'm very impressed with him.
But I think your point, Joe, is he doesn't want to have somebody sitting on his shoulder.
I strongly disagree with that someone sit over his shoulder. I think he needs to get a chance, and he's taken steps, and he's made hard decisions. He's done them. He walked into a situation that was tough. He calls himself the budget superintendent. It's not what he
But I
wanted to
don't
do.
think it's his shoulder. They said the financial part, the school board, and I would imagine the educational part would be the teachers in that. He would not just be him, I would think he would work with them.
Well, they're doing an audit, so the district's being audited.
Yeah.
And I guess Commissioner LeBron is gonna, and she's been very vocal from the beginning that I give her credit for this. She was right there at the very beginning, saying, "No, this budget's not going to work. We have issues with this budget." Before Superintendent Day even took over. So Commissioner LeBron now is the budget or the finance committee chair, which I think is awesome because that's not my personal opinion. It puts her in this spot, and she has credibility because she's been speaking about it right from the start. So.
Yeah.
So we'll see what I'm encouraged. I really am. I think we're going to rock bottom isn't here yet. It's coming in June, and there's already systems in place to try to prevent or not let this sort of thing happen again.
And the bottom line is the test scores.
Sure.
It can't,
Right.
it's gotta stop.
Correct.
I mean,
That's my little longer report, but
Test
it's
scores.
okay. I'll answer
Yeah.
the questions the best I can. But I do have quite a bit of experience.
Yeah, one of the things that Dave said today was that he wasn't surprised by the governor talking about putting a monitor in,
Oh, sure.
because they've
Track
done
record's
that. Every
strong.
other school district that got into big problems financially,
Yeah.
they ended up assigning a monitor to make sure that things are being done right.
if the children were doing well, everybody'd say, well, let's all throw some money in, but the children weren't doing well either.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But now the children wasn't doing well, okay? But like now, with all this going on, I'm all hearing about all the adults. But the children, what do you think they gonna feel and how they gonna be? At the middle of the year, they gotta change, double the size of the class. Do you think they gonna get better or gonna go back down worse? So
It's a
that's
mess.
the problem right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because everybody talk about the adults, but right now I'm thinking about with the children had 25 kids, they add 25 more. Teacher got 40 students.
No.
So something going.
I think he
I
said
bet.
12 and.
Well, yeah, most.
That's his class, but I'm talking regular
Yeah.
class.
There are some that will be having 45.
No. Most are 25. 25 is the highest you can go, but it's still more than they've
So
had.
most-
It is more than they had though.
Right.
More than they had.
And you make
When
it.
I first started teaching, many
Yeah.
years ago,
Yeah.
my first class had 40.
No, I
Well,
believe it.
children
I'm a
is
first
different
year
now.
teacher, huh?
It's different now.
But you make a good point. The children
Right.
become very. I don't know how many kids are in the class.
Irritate, yes.
They become attached to the teacher. They become develop a relationship.
Yeah.
And then and that's that's one of the challenges we're having in our school
That's right.
with 3 classes that have been 4 classes that have been 3 classes that have been combined together, and one teacher that was displaced. So, I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I don't care how many. To change in mid-year with young children, it's very
All
difficult.
about
Very
the
difficult.
children.
It is.
All about the children.
And what's going to happen with the state scores? I don't know. I know in 29, I feel confident we're doing a lot to try to pull together as a community.
Good.
Right.
I'm hoping other schools are doing the same thing because we are all there for the children. And so,
Yeah, and that's.
so we have to do that. Whatever we're upset about, it's over. We got to let that go from a long
Yeah.
time
Well,
ago.
it's over.
Right.
January
It's up.
6th, we grieve. We had all those little moments of we felt bad for ourselves,
Yeah.
but here comes our children. We have
Right.
to do what's best for them.
All the
Right.
ways up.
It's the only reason why we're there.
Okay.
Did you know that was coming? Did you have any sense? I mean.
I knew there was gonna be some. The first, again, I went to all the meetings. Superintendent Dave was talking about like a $30 million thing, and our school had 2 small second grades. I was confident we were gonna have those combined together. We had a vacancy. That vacancy was gonna be filled with a teacher that was put in there, so we weren't gonna lose a lot. That was the
Right.
first thing.
Yes.
But I think as the superintendent got deeper into it and analyzed it through with his team,
Yeah.
proverbial uncovering rocks.
Yeah.
So he called his
Yes.
3 big rocks, but he was uncovering rocks that had underneath it more problems. And so then that became phase 2, round 2, which he had to do something to stop
Oh, my God.
to stop the, I hate to use bleeding, it's a bad word, but he had to do something to stop the problem. Because that came in round 2. I thought that there were going to be, I thought that enough concessions were going to come up to be able to prevent at least the layoffs. But that didn't happen. I think there were still a fair number of people that believed in the big fix at the end, you know, the money's just going to come swooping in at the end. And they gambled and lost.
Well,
Yeah.
And,
states
you know,
in
people
trouble.
lost their jobs. So, again, that's not a blame game, because in our district, historically, that's kind of been the way it happens. You know, you kind of...
So this isn't the first time it's gotten into such debt.
Well, I think this is the first time that it was real. It was more real. I mean, I've been around over 40 years. This is the worst thing ever. That is the most challenging thing I've ever seen. We've never cut people mid-year.
Yeah.
We've done some right sizing a little bit in some schools.
But there was a reality there. There was
Well, it's all
millions in debt.
Right.
What I'm saying, did you feel this debt was climbing?
I didn't know the man. I didn't know. I knew there was a debt. I knew there was a gap, and I thought the first round when the superintendent described what he was going to do, I thought, okay, I didn't realize
No,
the
I want to
magnitude.
go back farther. How did it happen?
Okay.
Nope.
I
Yeah.
think we've
All right.
got, he's looking for communications with their school's community building coordinator, who's also a new person, as she works with the teachers to help them reach a point where they're ready to have their tutors begin working in the class again. Meanwhile, he's got 16 dedicated professionals who are anxious to resume helping the students as soon as the circumstances allow. Then for School 44, we are once again on this is from Karen Lahr, we are once again on the list of schools to close. Apparently, there is talk of either merging us with School 29 or closing us altogether.
Did he hear that?
What's that now?
Did you hear that?
Is that?
So what Karen Lahr from School 44 says,
Yeah.
apparently there is talk of either merging us with School 29 or closing us altogether.
I mean, that's doable. We have space.
He is recommending
Who's he?
what schools, this is Karen Lahr from School 30. She's a,
pre-K over.
She's recommending it?
no.
This is her-
It's being recommended.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah, that makes sense.
And so on Thursday, Dade is going to be recommending what schools he's recommending to be closed. Thursday, tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, yeah.
We lost 5 positions out of 25 professional staff here. That was a lot for such a small school. Staff continues to try to keep a positive morale despite the rumors, once again, of us closing, and any additional information can be obtained from the principal, Shalonda Garfield. All this stuff will be in the notes. So if you want to go back to location Southwest.
Great. And nothing new haven't heard anything from Wilson Commencement. We did at School 10, not only did they also got another new community school coordinator. We had Joyce Aqua there, who was had been assigned 3 months ago or so, and then all of a sudden, with the introduction of the new person in charge of the community schools, they changed some of the assignment. I think it probably got precipitated by the fact that they lost 4th grade teachers over at 10, and Joyce had been a 4th grade teacher, so she got switched over to a teaching position, and they got a new person in to be the community school coordinator. So this whole mid-year thing has been screwing things up all over the place. It's terrible. Next we have on the agenda Youth Bill. Do you have
Well-
something new there?
Yeah. So we deal with youth ages 17 to 24 who are learning construction skills. We're over here on Lincoln Ave. And they get classroom instruction and on-site education. We're available to go to any of the schools to talk to parent groups, because while the students may not be of age when they're attending school, we would like them to stay in school. They may have brothers and sisters that would be eligible for this program if they've dropped out of school. The next class starts in April. Dropouts are welcome because we provide tasks through Community Place of Rochester. We received a renewal grant for 3 years. Currently, students are working at Habitat for Humanity, 48 Cuba Place. And Youth Build is also a member of the Rotary Southwest, and they were looking to show the movie Harriet. We have like $500 that we can spend on education. So we were looking to do the movie Harriet, but at one of the schools. We focused on 29 because he's active. He's always active here, Joe, and he's also active with the Rochester Rotary. And right now, we did learn that Wilson Foundation.
We took our kids.
Yeah, that you took all
We
your
took
kids.
over
which-
100.
Very
How
cool.
was it?
Loved it. The kids even loved it. We took 6th, 7th, and
Yeah.
8th grade.
Where is that? Never heard of it.
Movie theater. The Harriet Tubman movie?
Oh, the Harriet
no, I haven't
Tubman
seen
movie.
it.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, all right.
And then the last thing is that the Rotary is going to be involved in National Night Out, which usually is done down at Genesee Valley Park, but this year it's going to be at the West Side Farmers Market. We're trying to get people to use the market and be aware of the kind of food that they have there. So we're going to try to get police to serve ice cream at that healthy venue. And well, as opposed to hot dogs. The greatest deterrent to crime is know your neighbor. So this is a big crime event, education about connecting police and citizens, but we'd like to make it a neighborhood event where people that live in the neighborhood come to a neighborhood location that's really healthy. And it's also a place that you can get information out to the community about schools, about anything, services, all that.
Yeah, that may be something that, Wilson Foundation Academy or whatever, if you have any reason to reach out to the community. We've in the past had sometimes teachers come in and hand out information about their school, make sure, like Joe, who's looking for more kindergartners for school. It's possible to, arrange to have a table there for some occasional. They meet on Tuesdays.
Tuesdays, 4:30 to 7.
Once a week. So.
One thing is, School 16 is having a project fair in March, and that might, when you were talking, I was thinking you guys want to go to that and have a booth. So a lot of families will be there, maybe you too.
Yeah.
So Joan Cowles is the coordinator for that at School 16.
How do you
If I
spell
brought my reading
her
glasses,
last
I could have
name?
told you. Cowles.
At school,
16.
COW.
LAS. Her first name's Joan.
But is this a science project fair? Or
It's had a potpourri of a whole bunch of things. I know that I've gone there as part of Rochester Community Bikes and also swim, so it's a lot of different things. There's snake eyes there.
oh, okay.
Okay, as far.
Emma, do you think Emma will be able to participate in this, what they're talking about? Did you want to have a table there where they're going to be in the 16 school? You do come in contact with a lot of people that fool like that. You have a lot of people come in your place, so they're like,
She's asking, do you think you would want to
just
participate?
read in this, what they just said. She'll give us the information and we can maybe do it.
Okay. Was there any other walk-in items or things that have come to mind that you want to talk on?
So yes, there are two things I'd like to share. At Wilson, there is, at Wilson there.
Big or little?
Big Wilson. They're getting ready for Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
So anyone those who are be interested in presenting should contact the math teacher, and that's Jackie Timothy. She's one of the coordinators for Black History Month at Wilson. And I'm looking right now to be able to tell you what their theme is this year. But it's going to be at the end of the month in February, on the 28th of February. And they break out, they have different classrooms. The students have different topics. So let me tell you, 1 second. No, so I haven't been able to pull it up, but definitely if anyone's interested in presenting, she's looking for individuals who are in leadership in various aspects of our community. So
Okay.
for that.
If there's a phone number for that, please.
For Jackie,
Yes.
you can definitely get her at the school. That's coming up, and it's usually a really nice event.
Good.
So the last, on a not so pleasant note, I want to share, if you have not heard of the passing of the former principal of 29th School, Dr. Clinton Strickland, passed away. And his service was last Saturday in Elmira. So Dr. Strickland passed away. He had moved recently to Florida because his health was even failing more. So he moved to Florida with his daughter and some other family members, and he stayed in Florida approximately 3 months before he passed away.
Okay. Anything from 4-H?
Yeah, actually. So there's a couple of opportunities that 4-H is offering. 4-H, if you haven't heard of it, is a youth development organization similar to Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, where we do community clubs and in-school programming. There are 2 programs that we're currently doing in schools. As these mid-year challenges arise, we're hoping that community organizations can kind of step up and at least alleviate some of the burden on teachers. So we're trying to get more activity within schools. So we have 2 programs that we're offering. One is a lesson on conifers, where a staff member from 4-H can come in, teach us a lesson about trees. They bring in tree samples. The kids get to touch and
What's the
experiment with
lesson
them.
on?
Conifer trees.
How do you spell it?
Conifer, like a Christmas tree.
Wow.
Douglas firs.
Douglas firs, yeah. There's also one on agricultural literacy, which we have a whole week dedicated to ag literacy in March. As that date becomes closer, I can share more information about that. Yeah, if there are any teachers, schools, organizations that are interested in having staff members from 4-H come and teach these lessons, it's completely free for public schools. So yeah, we would love to be able to expand our reach and try and get into more classrooms to help, like I said, alleviate that burden a little bit.
Great.
I also have the contact information if you want to get in touch with me.
What grade level is this for?
The Conifer lessons are geared towards K through 3rd, but 4-H in general covers a wide range of grades, all the way from K through.
So the literacy, the agricultural literacy would be what?
That usually skews younger. It involves like bringing a book, so like a picture book or something, usually around like 3rd grade level, and then an activity to go along with that. So it usually skews a little bit younger.
Libraries? Do you do libraries?
We hold events at libraries sometimes. Yeah.
Did you have anything relative to the libraries?
We are gearing up for Census Day because the census is being pushed primarily online. The libraries are being prepared to help and facilitate for people who are unable to access the census at home. There's a lot of activities or ideas being floated around. Nothing is really set in stone yet. Talking about having some kind of parties at the branch libraries on days to have people come in and to do their census, to encourage people. A lot of talking to the patrons as far as, just asking, have you done your census yet? Did you get your census? Have you done your census? If you didn't do your census, let's take a few minutes and do your census. Looking at maybe having dedicated terminals in each of the branches just to do the census, which is what they recommend. It's just one computer, to do. It'll just go to the census site. There is a program at the Wheatley Library in March, and I don't have a flyer with me, but I can bring one next month. It's in collaboration with Celebrate City Living and another or WXXI. They are showing, I can't remember the name of the movie, or the show in conjunction with a food event at 3 public libraries. There was one at Sully last week that was very highly attended, and there's another one at Maplewood and then Wheatley. And I apologize, I don't have any of those flyers with me. They took them all at an earlier meeting that I was at.
And what are these about? Celebrate City Living?
Celebrate City Living. It's part of the city organization. I can send you a flyer.
Okay.
I'll send you a flyer. I have a hard copy of it.
Yeah, I think back on these posters, do you have any, are those online? Or?
Yes, we have, our website is
Okay,
atad.org.
okay.
So also I found my email, regarding Wilson's Black History Month program.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be on February 28th from 7:45 a.m. to 2:15. And the theme is, they have 3 different workshops this year. And one of the workshops, and the overarching theme is This Is Us. And so one workshop will be This Is Us. And then the other workshop will be how do we define us? And the third workshop, how they see us. And for those who are interested in presenting, they will be having an informational session on Monday, January 27th at 6 p.m. at Wilson, because they have some games that they purchased for us that can be played, and activities that a presenter can conduct in the workshop.
So this is a planning meeting?
This is informational meeting.
I
I think it's more informational. By this, by January 27th, I think they're going to have it mostly planned, but they're looking for presenters.
So this would be a meeting presenters could come to.
Or people who might be interested in presenting.
And do they have a, did you give a time for that?
That is 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
Monday, January 27th at 6. And Jackie Timothy's email address is jacqueline.timothy@rcsdk12.org. And she spells Jacqueline, JACQUELYN. So jacqueline.timothy@rcsdk12.org.
It's no passport required, is the PBS series that explores and celebrates the wide range and diversity of immigrant traditions and cuisine woven into American food and culture. And the one at Wheatley is in February on the 22nd, which is a Saturday, from 11:30 until 1:30.
Can you text that to me?
I'll send it to you. I can send you the copy of the flyer tomorrow
Okay.
morning, because you don't come up when I go to do it on my phone. Yeah, I'll send
And
it to
John
you.
and Eleanor, I just sent you the information about the Black History Month.
Oh, great, thank you. Okay, anything else? Or is it a wrap? All set. Okay, well, thank you very much.